In this video, I'm going to go through how to do a really quick build of your Unity project. It's good to try to build often so that you can make sure that everything is working correctly, and it's also a way that you can share your projects with people who don't have the Unity engine installed, or maybe you don't want to give them your entire project. So the first thing before you do a build is you do need to make sure that you don't have any errors going on in your console. So we don't see any of the red stop signs. Yellow is usually fine. That's not a big deal, but you do want to double check that you can play your game and you don't have any basically coding errors is what would cause those. So once you're good to go, obviously save your whole project, hit Control S to save, and then we're going to go over to our build profiles. The location that we're going to look at first, we are going to do a Windows build with this, but if you do need to set it up for other things, this process is still the same. We're going to go over to our scene list, and we need to make sure that the scenes that we need in our build are in the scene list. You can always delete out scenes that you don't need. So remove scene, and then we can add them again by either adding the current open scene, or we could just drag them from our asset, our project directory down here, and drag and drop them in. Keep in mind that the first scene listed in the scene list, if you do have multiple scenes, is the one that will be playing when you start the build. I would also make sure you do get rid of scenes you don't need, since it would take out, it would take a lot longer to build stuff that you don't actually want to put into this. Once you have the scene list done, I would then go over to the player settings right here, because we do want to make sure that what we build out looks the way that we had planned it to look out in our game view. So I do have UI on my screen, and I do have it set specifically to run on a full HD setting. So you probably want to double check. It is probably going to be by default set to full screen. I would recommend maybe not doing full screen until you have more of your game completed, if this is like an early build. The reason is it can be a little bit harder to get out of full screen mode to exit your game. Since it does take up the whole entire area, you might want to switch it to windowed and just make sure that the width and height do match what you are building your game to. Once that's done, you are good to go with this window. We can close that and go back over to here. And then all we need to do is click on build and run. You are going to be asked to where you want to put your build, and I do not recommend, usually it kind of defaults to wanting to throw it into the project directory, but I usually don't like to build into the project itself. The reason is it can be harder to find. There are a lot of files that it spits out that you're going to need in order to make the build run, so if you do want to give it to somebody, it can be a little bit harder to make sure that you gathered all of those things. I kind of like to keep both separate, like the project and the build. So I'm going to right click and just make a new folder called demo build. And I'm going to do my build right into here. If you click build and run, it is going to automatically run your build once it has built itself. And I've already built it, so it did run it pretty quick. It might take a little bit longer the first time you do that, but we can see that I do have my game working. This is from a previous video where I demonstrated how to make an inventory system, and we can see it works perfectly fine. Since it is windowed, it's a little bit easier. I can just hit the X to exit out. I did have to hit the Windows key to get my mouse cursor back, but it's not too bad. So what do we do now if we want to share that build? What do we have to give people? If we go to our place where we built it, we can, not that one, sorry. it is this one. We can see that it did create a bunch of things. These are all important for doing our build, so we don't want to lose them. If you do want to run it again, you just find this application file that should be the name of what you called it, and we can play it again anytime that we want. But if we want to share it, we do need to give them this whole folder. So I don't recommend coming in here and zipping it like this. I do recommend going up in your directory to find the whole folder itself, and then right-clicking, right-clicking on it and compressing it to a zip. When you share this with somebody, then you are going to give them this whole zip folder. They can unzip it and then play it themselves. So just a real quick video in case you needed a little bit of help with making a real quick build. And hopefully this works out well for you.